So I'll start off sitting in a comfortable position. And it doesn't matter how you sit. You can sit on your knees, you can sit on your bum, you can stack your legs, you can sit on a pillow, you could even sit in a chair if you want to. But we're just going to begin closing your eyes and letting your breath kind of just be in your body. So inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And just kind of feeling the breath as it goes in and out of you. Just kind of noticing how deep the breath goes when you don't push the air in. How long is an exhale when you just let the exhale happen normally and naturally? Maybe you can even feel the weight of your head resting on your neck and your shoulders. And it's in the process of bringing your attention to all of these little physical things with something as ordinary as breathing that we bring your mind into your body's time, which is always in the present. Bring a little bit more intention into your breath. So inhaling your spine a little bit taller, and then as you exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine and up towards your heart. So you begin to use all of your lungs with your breath and just kind of noticing how long you can make an inhale and how long you can maintain your exhale when you use all of your breathing mechanism. And then linking movement with breath, so inhaling, reaching both hands up over your head. And then exhaling, slowly reaching your fingertips out to the sides, metering your breath until your lungs are empty and your fingers find the floor, pushing out all the air at the bottom so you're truly empty. Again, inhaling, reaching both hands up towards the sky. And sipping in a little bit air at the top. And then exhale, reaching your fingertips out to the sides. Slowly metering your breath until your lungs are empty and you push out all the air at the bottom. One more time, inhaling, reaching both hands up. And then from here, we're going to turn your body to the right side and bring your left hand to your right knee. We're going to place your right hand behind your lower back to find the floor. Inhale into a tall spine, and then exhale to twist to look over your right shoulder. So with each breath, you're inhaling a little bit taller, straightening your spine a little bit more, and then with each exhale, you're twisting just a little bit deeper. Slowly floating back up towards center, bringing both hands up to the sky. And then turning your heart to the left and bringing your right hand to your left knee, and then your left hand behind your lower back. Inhaling into a straight spine, and then exhale to twist to look over your left shoulder. Same thing, as you inhale, you get a little bit taller, and then as you exhale, you twist just a little bit deeper. On an exhale, floating back up towards center, bringing both hands to the sky. Wiggle your fingers just for the heck of it. And then exhale to fold down into an easy forward fold, letting your hands find the floor, letting your forehead drop down onto the mat. And if you're like, oh, my head's not quite touching the floor, that's totally fine. Just pretend that the floor is like a big bump in it and it comes up and you kind of rest your head on that. But still inhaling deeply so you can kind of feel the breath going all the way down into your belly so it stretches out your lower back. Slowly walking both hands over to the right side. So you're draping your heart over your right thigh, taking a deep breath, long exhale. Softening down over your right leg. And then whenever you're ready, slowly walking your hands all the way over to the left side, just about as far as feels comfortable. Taking a deep breath with a long exhale, softening your heart over your left thigh. One more time, slowly coming back towards the center. Maybe walking your hands out just a hair further than they were the first time you went down, before pushing yourself all the way back up to sitting like a normalish person. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale, dropping your right hand down by the side, extending your left arm over your body and bending at your right elbow. And reaching those left fingertips towards the wall. So roll your left shoulder blade over the right so your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, squeezing back up to center, both hands floating up to the sky, and then dropping your left hand down by the side and reaching your right arm over your head, and then rolling your right shoulder blade behind you. Coming back up towards center one last time, and glitter fingers out to the sides, but it's magical, happy yoga glitter and not toxic microplastics. Coming onto your hands and knees. With your fingertips spread wide underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, we're going to come into cat and cow. So inhaling to look up, dropping your belly down towards the floor, and then exhale, curving your chin towards your belly button, like as if you wanted to smell your belly button. And then inhale to look up, and then exhale to curve. So just going at your own breath here. Just kind of feeling each vertebrae sliding over the other. See if you can feel the difference between one vertebrae, kind of starting at your neck as you curl your chin towards your chest and then arch your spine all the way up until you scoop your tailbone underneath you. And in doing so, we're kind of waking up your whole central nervous system. And more importantly, we're linking movement with breath. It's kind of what yoga is all about. Kind of. We'll take one or two more breaths. And then we'll all meet in a nice neutral spine. And pushing your heart away from the floor, and then tucking your belly button into your spine so you have a really tight core. You're going to reach your right arm out in front of you and take your gaze straight down to the floor. Pushing your left heel straight back behind you, and taking a deep breath. And then on the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. Inhale to extend, reaching out, pushing away from your heel. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend, keeping that core engaged so your spine is still neutral. Exhale to connect. One more time, reaching out and coming back down onto all fours. Take a moment to resettle, and then reaching your left arm out in front of you. And then keeping that core really strong. You're going to push your right heel straight back behind you. Taking a deep breath, and then on the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. Inhale to extend, reaching out. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend, pushing your right heel far away from you. Exhale to connect. One more time, reaching out, and then coming back down onto all fours. Bringing your knees out to either side of the mat, we're going to come all the way back into child's pose. So pressing your bum down towards your heels and walking your fingertips out in front of you. And then kind of tenting your hands, so just your fingertips are touching the mat, and then gently pushing your bum down towards your heels as you let your forehead rest on the floor. Flattening out your hands, we're going to curl under your toes and to come into first downward dog of the class. I would say first downward dog of the day, but I think that all of you have done downward dogs already. Oh, but I have not. So first downward dog, you can take your time to get into it. You can pedal your heels, you can shake your head, Breathe deeply. You can kind of see where you're at physically. Look underneath your right armpit. See if you can see what's going on in the ceiling underneath that right side. Take a look under your left armpit. See what's going on under there. All clean and happy. Then we're going to slowly walk your feet to your hands until we all find ourselves in a nice forward fold. Just letting your head and your arms relax down. You can shake your head, no. Shake your head, yes. You roll your shoulders. Swish your arms side to side. And then bending at the knees, we're going to curl one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to standing. Whew. Reaching both hands up over your head and grabbing onto your giant golden orb of happiness and squeeze onto that sucker as you draw your shoulders down away from your ears. You're going to reach that ball over towards one side of the room, really extending it like you're going to reach it, like you're going to pass it towards someone who's just right there, but they don't want golden orbs of happiness. Squeeze from the obliques and pass it over to the other side of the room, reaching out as far as you can. Coming back up towards center, opening up your heart to limitless possibilities that hump day has to offer. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthening out through your spine, so flattening your back and extending the crown of your head towards the front of the room. And then exhale to fold down and walk yourself all the way out into your plank. So for first chaturanga, we'll lower down knees, keeping your elbows tight into your sides, chest and chin all the way onto your belly. And keeping your elbows tight in towards your sides, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat, we're going to come up into baby cobra. So baby cobra wants to look around because it's a baby, it's curious, but it doesn't have any feet. So it's going to look and see it doesn't have any feet, so you can look over one shoulder. No feet over there. You can look over the other shoulder. Still no feet. Pressing out for your hands and knees, coming all the way back into your child's pose. Breathing deep, extending through your lats. And then curl under your toes to come into your downward facing dog. So that sun salutation variation you can do for all of the future sun salutations if you want to. And then this downward dog, we're going to hold it with a little bit more intention. So pressing your fingertips into the mat, lengthening along your spine so your tailbone is reaching up towards the ceiling and your back is nice and flat. You're pushing your heels down to the floor behind you and the backs of your knees to the wall behind you. Holding here for 2 more breaths. Looking in between your hands, walk or jump forwards, back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening along your spine. And then exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, hinging at the waist, coming all the way up to standing, raising both hands up over your head, grabbing onto that same big old ball of joy, sending it towards one side of the room, stretching through your side body, up, extending it over to the other side of the room. One more time back up towards the center, opening up your heart into a gentle back bend. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back. And then exhale, walking yourself out into your plank. And you can either take that first variation of sun salutation, or you can lower high to low push-up, still keeping your elbows tight into your sides until you're just above the ground. And then pulling your heart forwards into an upward facing dog. So the tops of your feet are resting on the floor and you're pulling your heart forwards. Right, we're going to curl over your toes to come all the way back into your downward facing dog. Breathing deeply so you can really feel the blood flowing into your shoulders. Breathing deeply so you can feel the stretch in your hamstrings and your calves. Two more breaths here. And looking in between your hands, walk or jump forwards, back into your forward fold. We're going to inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, coming all the way to standing, raising both hands up over your head. And glitter fingers out to the side until your hands find your thighs. There they are. Inhale, reaching both hands up. Exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back. And then exhale, walking yourself out into your plank, taking whichever form of chaturanga you prefer, so long as your elbows are tight to your sides, loading up into your baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then curling over your toes to come into your downward facing dog. Great. From here, we're going to raise your right foot all the way up behind you, and then open up at the hips so you can kind of drop your right foot down towards the crown of your head. Roll your ankle, roll your right ankle, wiggle your right toes. I'm going to step your right foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. And pausing there just for a moment. Giving a little rock front and back so you stretch out that left hip flexor. Take a look over one shoulder so you can see the world behind you. And once you kind of roll through the hips to look over that shoulder, it changes the stretch. Take a look over your left shoulder, same deal. Then from here, dropping your back heel down to the floor at a 45-degree angle. We're going to float up into your warrior one, raising both hands up over your head and squaring off your hips towards the front of the mat. As you inhale, your pinkies reach up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, you drive your right knee forwards just a little bit more. So with every breath, you're just kind of making a tiny adjustment to the pose. Arms are always engaged, but your shoulder blades are always pulling down. Back leg is strong, pushing the outside edge of your foot into the mat. Beautiful. Everyone looks great. And then opening up into your warrior two, reaching both hands out in either direction. So your right arm is reaching forward, left arm is reaching back towards the wall behind you, and you're reaching so far that your shoulders naturally drop away from your ears. And then driving that right knee forwards just a little bit more. Nice, Jim. Two more breaths here. Dropping your back hand to your back thigh, reaching your top arm over your head towards the back of the room as you drive your right knee forwards, coming into peaceful warrior. So this left hand can either rest on your thigh, or you can wrap it around your lower back to find that right hip crease. Both are totally cool. Two more breaths here, keeping that front knee bent and strong. And then on an exhale, bring your right elbow to your right knee, creating a little bit of support, and then reaching your left arm up over your head and towards the front of the room. And then taking the gaze underneath your left biceps towards the ceiling. As you roll your left shoulder blade over your right so your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. Keeping that front knee strong and bent, we're going to reach your top arm underneath and grab onto that little golden orb of happiness that's always flying around you. Extend it up to the ceiling and towards the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room, passing it as far forwards as you can because we all like to share golden orbs of happiness. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheeling both hands down either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into your plank and chaturanga, whichever variation you prefer. Floating up into your upward dog or baby cobra. And then curling over your toes into your downward dog. And pausing for a second just to feel the difference from one side to the other. Raising your left foot all the way up behind you. And then opening up at the hips, drop your left heel down towards the crown of your head. Roll your left ankle, wiggle your left toes. Smell your left armpit. Ah. And then stepping your left foot through in between your hands for a low lunge and pausing there to stretch out your right hip flexor. So just give them a little rock front and back, feeling what's tight, what's loose, maybe pushing out through the right heel, straighten out that right leg as much as possible. And I hear lots of times that people get really tight hip flexors, from sitting in desk jobs or things like that. It's really tricky because that pulls your pelvis forward and back. And sometimes result in back pain. We don't like that. So we're going to look over one shoulder, see if you can see the world behind you, rolling through the hips and seeing how that changes the stretch. Take a look over the other shoulder. And then dropping your back heel down to the ground at about a 45-degree angle and floating up into warrior one. Reaching both hands up over your head and squaring off your hips towards the front of the mat. Inhaling, reaching your fingers up towards the ceiling, and then exhaling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Front knee is bent, back leg is strong, pushing into the mat like you're trying to rip the mat in half with your legs. 2 more breaths here. Then opening up into your warrior two. Reaching both hands out in either direction, left fingertips forwards, right fingertips back. And reaching so far that your shoulders drop away from your ears. Taking the gaze over the left fingertip, and then driving your left knee forwards just a little bit deeper. Coming into the pose just a little bit stronger. Dropping your back hand down towards your back thigh, reaching your left arm up over your head towards the back of the ring as you drive your left knee forwards. And inhaling so deep that you can kind of feel the stretch happen all the way into your rib cage. On an exhale, bring your left elbow to your left knee, reaching your right arm over your head, bending towards the front of the room, and then rolling your right shoulder blade over the left so your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. Keeping that front leg nice and strong, we're going to reach forward to grab onto that same big ball of joy. Extend it up towards the ceiling to the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room as far forwards as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheeling both hands down either side of your front foot. Walk yourself back into your plank and chaturanga. Inhale into your upward dog. And exhale into your downward dog. Looking in between your hands, walk or jump forwards back into your forward fold. Letting your head relax and your arms relax for a minute, just taking in a breath in this relaxing position. And then bending at the knees, scooping your tailbone underneath you and curling one vertebrae at a time all the way up to standing. Inhale, reaching both hands up over your head. Exhale, letting your hands float down by your sides. From here, we're going to find your hip crease, that bone right there. We're going to step your right foot back behind you about 2 feet with a little space in between them like you're on skis. Keeping your hips squared off towards the front of the mat, we're going to inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale, folding forward where that hip crease is into a nice flat back, into an intense leg stretch. So once you say, okay, this is as far down as I can go, you can release your hands and curl over your spine to let your forehead drop down towards your left knee. If this feels super tight for you, you can rest your hands on your thigh to kind of give yourself a little bit of support. Or if you have a block or a stack of books or something, you can rest your hands on that. But no matter where we're at, we're going to try and let your head relax and your upper body relax. to be the weight that pulls you forward to stretch out your left hamstring. Two more breaths here. And slowly transitioning, putting all the weight into your front foot, walking your fingertips out in front of you, letting your back heel float up towards the ceiling as high as you can. So driving that right heel as high up towards the sky as is humanly possible as you're trying to kiss your left kneecap. And if you can kiss it, that's awesome. If you want to make this pose a little bit harder, you can grab onto your left ankle with one hand or both hands to make it into a balancing posture. But no matter where we're at, we're going to push that right heel up just a little bit higher. And then lower your right foot down behind the left so your pinky toes are touching. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then exhale to fold down into your sciatic stretch. So using the support of the floor or a prop to find that point where you're feeling a good stretch but nothing hurts. Sliding your hands up your legs. We're going to interlace your fingers behind your back and pulling your knuckles up to the ceiling and then over your head towards the front of the room, opening up your shoulder girdle. And then leading with the heart to float all the way up to standing and pulling your knuckles down to the ground behind you. Slowly release your hands. We're going to draw your right foot up into tree pose. So for tree pose, we can either put your right heel on your left ankle, rolling your knee out to the side. We can put the arch of your foot on your calf. We can slide your foot all the way up into your inner thigh. Any one of those positions is good. We just don't want to push directly on the side of your knee, because knees hate lateral load. Once you find that position, bring your hands into a prayer in front of your heart and focus your gaze on something that doesn't move. As you inhale, your spine gets a little bit taller. Then as you exhale, you tuck your belly button in towards your spine. So you're keeping that lower core strong and engaged throughout the tree pose. Opening up the branches of your tree and sinking your shoulders down away from your ears. And slowly glitter fingers down to the ground. Release your foot, release your hands. Take a second to pedal out your toes. And then we'll draw your left foot back behind you about 2 feet, finding that hip crease with your hands. We're going to inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale, folding over where that hip joint is, keeping your back nice and straight, and extending the crown of your head towards the front of the room. Then you're like, oh, okay, that's as far down as I can go. From there, you can release your hands and curl over to come all the way down into an intense leg stretch. Letting your head relax and your arms relax, but keeping your legs strong and engaged. So you're squeezing at your quads, the muscle above your knee. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And with each exhale, you can kind of soften your upper body just a little bit more. We'll hold here for 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. And whenever you're ready, we're going to slowly transition all the way to the front foot, walking your fingertips out in front of you. And then letting your left heel float up to the ceiling as high as you can. So you're squeezing from your left bum cheek. Nice, Jim. Look at that. You're almost touching the ceiling. Good. And try and keep that leg straight. So you're like trying to push that heel away from you, all the while trying to kiss your right kneecap. Knees love kisses, by the way. So if anyone wants to kiss your knee, let them. Holding here for 3 more breaths, raising that back heel up just a little bit higher. There you go. And then slowly lowering down left foot behind the right foot until your pinky toes are touching, your ankles are crossed. Not crossed, but crossed. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then exhale to fold down into your sciatic stretch, just letting your head hang down loose. And inhaling so deep that you feel the stretch in your legs. Using the support of the floor or a prop to make the stretch beneficial, not detrimental. And then sliding your hands up your legs, interlacing your fingers behind your back, pulling your knuckles up to the ceiling and over your head towards the front of the room. And then leading with the heart to float all the way up to standing, pulling your knuckles down to the floor behind you. Releasing your hands, and then drawing your left foot up into tree pose. So again, you can put that left heel on your right ankle, rolling your left knee out to the side, arch of your foot on your calf, or heel all the way up into your inner thigh. Once you find your position, bring your hands into a prayer in front of your heart, and focus your gaze on your drishti. Focus point that doesn't move. As you inhale, your spine gets a little bit taller. As you exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine. Reaching both hands up over your head, extending the branches of your trees. Exhale, bringing both hands down by your sides, letting your feet float down to the floor. Take a second to pedal out. Inhale, reaching both hands up over your head. And then exhale to fold all the way down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. Then exhale to walk yourself out into your plank and pausing at the high plank just for a moment. Pushing out through the heels and the crown of your head. We're going to plant your right hand in the center of the mat and roll over onto the right side. So you're stacking yourself up, your arms and legs, and raising your left hand up towards the sky. What would be really cool, you can raise your left foot up off the floor too, so you look like a flying starfish. On an exhale, rolling all the way back down onto all fours. And we're going to plant your left hand in the center of the mat and go right over to the other side. Stacking your feet up, raising your right arm up towards the ceiling. You want to raise that right foot up too. Slowly rolling back down onto all fours. And curl all the way over your toes into your downward facing dog. Raising your right heel all the way up behind you. You're going to float your right knee to your right elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment, making that connection. Send your right leg straight back up behind you. Bring your right knee to your left elbow, crossing under your midline, making that connection. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your right knee to your nose. Try and kiss your right kneecap. Straight back up behind you. And then folding your right leg through into pigeon pose. So bring your right knee kind of behind your right wrist and your right ankle's kind of behind your left wrist, and then wiggling your left foot back. So that's more or less center on the mat. And your hips are pretty close down to the ground. Once you find your position, inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale to walk yourself down. Let your forehead rest on either your hands, a block or a pillow or the floor. And we'll stay here for a few breaths, just letting the weight of your body be the thing that takes you down closer to the ground. Whenever you're ready, slowly walking yourself back up. Take a look over one shoulder, gentle spinal twist. Take a look over the other shoulder. And curl under your toes to come all the way back into your downward facing dog. Taking your time to get there. Just pedaling out one foot after the other and feeling the effects of pigeon pose. Raising your left heel all the way up behind you. You're going to float your left knee to your left elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment, making that connection. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your left knee to your right elbow, crossing under your midline. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your knee to your nose, try and kiss your left kneecap. Straight back up behind you. And folding your left leg through into pigeon pose on the other side. So left knee is kind of behind your left wrist. Left ankle is kind of behind your right wrist. And scooting that right foot back so you bring your hips down as close down to the ground as you can, while it still feels kind of okay. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale, walking yourself down to let your forehead rest on your hands or the floor. Whenever you're ready, slowly walk yourself back up, pausing for a moment at the top, taking a look over one shoulder, look over the other, and then rolling over onto your left bum and bringing your right leg all the way around in front of you from the sitting on the floor, on the mat. Just getting the muscle out of the way so you can like moving your butt cheeks out of the way until you can find those sits bones. And then rocking on your heels like you're grinding your butt into the floor. And then pushing your heels away from you so the backs of your knees are down towards the floor. You're going to inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then exhale to fold to bird cage your feet and let your forehead drop down towards your knees. And no matter where you're at, if you can't quite reach your feet and slide your hands underneath your calves, we're going to try and really push the backs of your knees into the floor here. So you're still squeezing at the quads, that muscle on the top of your leg, just above your kneecap. You're using your hands to kind of pull your heart forwards and exhale a little bit deeper, letting your head be heavy. Two more breaths here. Reaching out past your toes and floating all the way back up to standing. Exhale, hands down by your sides. And then we'll come to laying down flat on your back on the mat. A little bit so y'all don't have to look at my butt for the next couple minutes. So with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, so you can just about find your heels with your fingertips. We're going to push off your heels, raising your hips up towards the ceiling. And then interlace your hands, walking your elbows and your triceps towards each other. So you stack yourself all the way up onto your body, back. So pushing your heels into the floor and your hips up towards the ceiling until you can feel that stretch in your hip flexor again. 2 more breaths here. And on an exhale, slowly releasing your arms, coming all the way back down onto your back. And hugging both knees into your chest, giving yourself a little rock side to side. Straighten out your right leg along the floor, pushing your right heel away from you. With your right hand, we're going to pull your left knee across your body as you reach your left arm out to the side. Holding here for 2 breaths. Slowly making your way out to your back, hugging both knees into your chest again. Straighten out your left leg along the floor. With your left hand, pulling your right knee across your body, reaching your right arm out to the side. Spinal twist on the other side. One last time, hugging both knees into your chest. Giving a final rock side to side. Tucking your forehead up into your knees, making your body like a little itty bitty seed. And then straightening out your legs and arms into your Shavasana pose. I'll just hold this pose for a few breaths. Letting your arms rest heavy down by your sides and your feet splayed out open. Take this moment to breathe and feel the full effects of your yoga practice. If you want to hold this longer, you can. Now we're going to bend at the knees, hugging the knees into your chest, rolling over onto your side, and coming up into a comfortable sitting position. We'll finish today's practice how we started it, with your eyes closed and breathing. Just seeing if you notice any changes in the quality of your breath, physical movement of your breath, or the state of your mind. And taking a moment to send out a silent blessing of love and peace and patience to everybody out there who could use it today. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale, hands into a prayer in front of your heart. And we'll close with a single heartfelt namaste. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for practicing with me this Wednesday morning. Hope you all have a beautiful day, fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you on Friday morning at 9 a.m. for core class. I'll come and unmute you all. Grab 'em, grab 'em.